Mahrs Bräu, Vollbier.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. This is the Mahrs Bräu Helles Vollbier. I called it Vollbier in the intro, but it's the Helles Vollbier. And it's got some very, very good reviews. So I thought, when I saw it on the House of Trembling Madness, I thought, I'm going to give this a go because it needs to be done. I love my Helleses and I love beer that comes from Bavaria. Now this particular one comes from a place called Bamberg. If you've heard that before, that will be the Schlenkerler beer where you've heard that from, because they're based in a place called Bamberg, which is in Bavaria, obviously. I think that's is that in Franconia? I think it might be. Could be wrong. Germans, please don't shoot me down if I've got that wrong, because yeah, my geography and pronunciations are pretty shit when it comes to the German language. But this is Mahrs Bräu, and it is a Helles, and the brewery that have brewed this have got some very interesting reviews. Now they have been going since, hang on, oh yeah, it's an embossed cap. I just noticed it's an embossed cap on there. I was wondering what the fuck that was. I thought it was a sticker. It ain't, it's an embossed cap. Get on to that in a bit. But the brewery have been going since 1602, or they can trace their lineage back to 1602, which is no mean feat. That's older than any English brewery. And they have been brewing continuously since then in Bamberg, and they've been pretty successful at what they do. And I'm not going to really go into the history, basically just plodded along and done their thing, various expansions of the brewery, etc., various refurbs and all that. I was looking up the history, and I did like they have like a timeline, and they completely missed out World War II. In 1949, they were apparently allowed to start brewing again. They put it down to a drought, and yeah, I don't think it was a drought that stopped you from brewing there. Mahrs Bräu, just say, I don't know whether the brews flattened during the war, but as you may or may not know, Bavaria was heavily bombed during World War II, usually by the American 8th Air Force or the RAF, which also included the Australians and the Canadians and everyone else in the Commonwealth. Don't leave them out. But that's really all I can tell you about the brewery. What I will say, and there was another thing that was on the timeline, and it did make me laugh. The entry for 2007 said that they were named the best brewery in the world by a magazine called Men's Journal, which is an American magazine. Now I thought, what the fuck is Men's Journal? I'm going to have to look that up. And it's one of these lifestyle magazines, and I just think, fuck me, if you have to get your fucking lifestyle out of a magazine, I'm sure they don't exist anymore. Does anybody read these lifestyle magazines anymore? I remember years ago in the 90s that over here in the UK you used to get loads of them. FHM was one, and what was the other one? Was it Heat or something like that? I don't know, fucking, I never bought them. I lived in a flat at the time in Wood Green with a few fellas, and one of them used to get FHM, and I used to flick through it, and yeah, fucking nonsense. All it was birds with their tits out, and scantily clad women, and just fucking nonsense really. Interviews with actors, and people used to pay like £3 or £4 a week, or a month for that, I should say. That was the days before the internet really took off, and yeah, I think the days of magazines are numbered now. But this magazine, they call it a lifestyle magazine, and it promotes outdoor life, fashion and all that, and fucking hell, I'm not into that at all. If you are, crack on. But things like, what was it, GQ and all that, where they have all the latest fashion, fuck me. My fashions ain't changed since the 80s, and I'm fucking proud of it, and I could not give a flying hairy one who cares about it. There you go. That's just me. Shall we get back to the beer? Right, this is a 500ml bottle. and it is 4.9%. Now it's a Vollbier. What is a Vollbier? Well, a Vollbier is basically a German tax dodge, and there was a tax imposed on beer, not for the ABV, which would be sort of logical. It was based on the gravity after the fermentation, and why they chose that, I don't know, but that's why they call it Vollbier. And Vollbier, I don't know whether that really has a meaning now or not. I think it's just a traditional thing. I don't know whether they tax beer in Germany on the Plato gravity or not, but that's what the original thing was, and that came in, I think, in 1906 in Germany, and brewers started being a little bit more economical with the gravity because they didn't want to get taxed. Hence the reason why you see Vollbier on a lot. Andex do a Vollbier, and quite a lot of the Bavarian brewers do a Vollbier as well. So there you go, that's where that term comes from. But that's what it is. It's a 500ml bottle. It is, as I say, 4.9%. Everything's in German on there. It's probably just marketing. What I do want to talk about though is the hops. They've got some hops in here. Well, they've got two varieties of hops, which are really interesting. They're both Hallertau hops, and they are Hallertau Hercules hops. Now, the Hercules hops are a bit more of an in-your-face hop, quite resinous, peppery, and spicy. And I imagine they've probably used that for the bittering hop, even though there isn't much bitterness in a Bavarian Helles. But these hops also have a bit of an orangey flavour as well. So that's potentially why they use them in wheat beers. I do see quite a lot, certainly from Schneiderweiss, that they, and Weihenstephaner as well, they use the Hercules hops in them as well, which is interesting. Second hop is another noble hop. It is the Mittelfrüh hop, and this is quite a complex hop. It contains a wide variety of flavours. One of the most dominant flavours in this is like a grassy, hay type flavour and aroma as well. It's sweet. It contains the flavour of some sweet spices, and it's also quite floral as well. And that really does sound like a good hop to use in a light colour beer like this Bavarian Helles. So with that in mind, let's crack this open and let's see what's going on. There was a beer reviewer, or there is a beer reviewer on YouTube, who I really don't have much respect for at all. I think he's a bit of a fucking dick, if truth be told. The Beer Hooligan, if you've heard of him. I'm not a fan. I think he's a fucking knob when he starts going on about Margaret Thatcher being the best politician this country's ever had. You know, fuck off, you knob. But he reckons this is the best lager in the world, best lager he's ever tried. So I'll put that to the test. There is the cap. Come on, autofocus. Do your fucking thing. Come on. Can you see it? Oh, I'll give up on this fucking thing. I don't normally slag off other beer reviewers, but yeah, and I'm a pretty laid-back bloke, but he fucking winds me up. I think he's a dick, and he supports Arsenal. And if you're watching this, mate, fucking sort your life out. There you go. Right, I've tried some good beers tonight, so I'm hoping this one doesn't let the side down. I tried a Dunkel from Schwabia a minute ago, or a few minutes ago I should say. I'm not fucking, it's not a production line, but that was really nice. I was really impressed with that. What are we getting on the nose? Fuck all at the moment. Let me pour the rest in. Yeah, that Dunkel was quite nice, but a typical Bavarian Dunkel. But I did try the Schonrama Helles as well, and that was unique in that it really didn't concentrate on the malt much at all. It was all about the hops, and I was really impressed with that. So I'm hoping this will live up to the expectations that I have. And going by the aroma, there ain't much at all. It's very, very fucking weak. In fact, I'm not really getting much at all from that, which I don't really think is a good sign. I'm not getting much at all out of it. I'm not even going to try and conjure up some aromas that don't exist on that, and the head's dissipating quite quickly. So I'm going to get this down with Gregory Peck. There is a slight hue on that, I've just noticed that now. But there you go, head's fucking rapidly dissipating. So Prost, as they say in Germany. Not bad. Quite lemony. Oh, and there is that orange. That orange they talk about in the middle through hop. I can get that. It's not big, but I am getting it. That's quite nice. Yeah, very nice. Very clean. Fair amount of hop character, no bitterness on there at all. Hasn't got the over the top honey sweetness that you get on some of the Munich beers, but that's nice. That's a solid brew, that is. I'm actually getting quite a lot of that fruit on there, which is nice. It's going down quite easily on this beer. The mouthfeel is great. If you look at the carbonation on that, there isn't much carbonation in there, and it's very smooth indeed. It hasn't got masses and masses of flavour, it has to be said. It's very easy drinking now, I will say that. And it's got very, very delicate hop flavours to it. Quite nice. I'm just looking on the bottle here, and I remember I reviewed, and I think it was the start of this year, I reviewed the Weizenbock that they do, which was quite nice. I was quite impressed with that. But on all their labels, I don't know if you can see this or not, whether autofocus is going to do its fucking job or whether it's going to end up in that fucking recycle bin out in the garden. But it's got on the label a picture of, or a depiction of Mars. Mars, of course, is the Roman god of war, and that's where the name comes from. It's digging again. Yeah, and this is a chugger of a beer, a real session beer, and it puts me in mind of the Hofbrauhaus beer. Now, I'm not talking about the Munich Hofbrauhaus. There's another German brewery called Hofbrauhaus, and their beers, I think, are very much in this sort of style. They're not massive on flavour. They're nice. There's not absolutely no nasties in there whatsoever, but they're more about just fucking chugging with less emphasis on the flavour, even though they have got some hops in there which have got some quite complex flavours. The end product is, I have to say, very, very subdued when it comes to the flavour. But, and I don't know what this is, they do it in Bavaria in a certain few breweries, and I'm saying I don't know what it is. I know what it is. It's fucking good ingredients. In fact, it's top quality ingredients that make their beer, even the beers that aren't as flavoursome as some, they make them supremely drinkable. And they've got everything right in this. They've got the mouthfeel right. They've got I think they've got the ABV right on this as well. And to complement that, they haven't put many complex flavours into it, and that's why this is a real chugger. And there are a few that I've tried, and the one that springs to mind, in fact the reason it springs to mind is because the Hofbrauhaus beers, all of them that I tried, and there's quite a few on the channel, if you do a search for the Hofbrauhaus reviews, all them beers, they weren't standout beers when it came to flavour. They were standout beers for their drinkability. And what do I mean by drinkability? I mean great mouthfeel, flavour that isn't obtrusive, and just refreshment that goes off the scale. And that's what I like in a beer if I'm going to be out on a session with a few mates. I don't really want masses of flavour. Well, you do want some flavour, that's a lie, but you don't really want to be sitting there pondering and trying to decipher the complex flavours. You just want a beer that you can fucking talk bollocks to, and then in between each sentence just take a mouthful. That's what I do anyway. I don't know what everyone else does, but let's dig in again. That's quite nice. It's warming up a little bit now. The flavours on this are subtle, and I'm getting more of that peppery Hercules hop bitterness from the pepper flavour that hop possesses. I'm starting to get them flavours now, and it's really nice. Very subtle though. Again, these flavours aren't big, and if you do try this and you watch this review and you say, well, I'm not getting any of the salt, you really have to sit down and analyse the flavours. You can't just chug this and say, well, he's talking bollocks. There's none of that sort of flavour in there. They're very subtle, and you've got to root them out. And you may even get the orange that's on that as well. Again, it's subtle, but it's nice. I like that. And it's really good because beers like this you can use on 2 different occasions. If you really, you have to concentrate if you want to get these flavours I'm talking about, or you can just guzzle it and have a really nice German beer. And I have to say, that's not bad at all. That's a solid Bavarian Helles, and yeah, quite like it. Would buy again. So what is the verdict on Mahrs Bräu Helles Vollbier? Yeah, if you're looking for masses of flavour, if you're looking for tons of liquid bread, you're not going to get it. What you are going to get is a very, very drinkable Helles with subtle flavours. Now, as I said, you can go 2 ways on the approach to this. You can just guzzle it with a few mates on a warm day, keep it in the fridge, very refreshing, very, very fucking drinkable. Or you can sit and savour the flavours and try and decipher them subtle hop flavours, which are there. I can definitely get the orange from the Hercules hops that are in this, and as I say, Hercules hops, they do use them in the better quality Weiss beers. Certainly Schneider Weiss use them. I think Weihenstephaner use Hercules in their beers as well, but Schneider Weiss definitely do, and they're great. And Hofbrau, I think, use Hercules too. Could be wrong, but I think Hofbrau use them on their Weizen, or their Weiss beers. I shouldn't call them Weizen. Call it Weizen if you're outside of Bavaria. German laws which have to be obeyed at all times. I'm just saying like Basil 40 now, don't I? But there you go. Mahrs Bräu, very nice beer. I'm going to give that a solid 8 out of 10. And yeah, I would buy it again. Now I'll tell you the price. I got this from the House of Trembling Madness the other day. And the Mahrs Bräu is... Oh, what is it? Hang on. Oh, here we go. It's $2.99. That's a little bit... Well, I wouldn't say it's expensive, but is it worth $2.99? Oh, there. You can get Augustiner or St. Georgenbräu. Well, I'll give you an example. The St. Georgenbräu Gold Marzen, which was really nice, that was $2.80, and this is $2.99. So yeah, the cost, again, you've got to weigh that up. So if you're a little bit skint, then it's probably not, in my opinion, not worth buying that. There are better beers out there, hence the reason I've given it 8 out of 10. But still a nice beer. If you ever come across that on your travels, that is well worth a shout. It's a chugger, so if you're in a pub and you find that, fucking get it down ya. And remember, beer is working class champagne.